Hi everyone, Sarah from Sarah Humphrey Creates, and I have moved into my embroidery studio today because I needed a bit more space, and I'm going to make a mess, which I'm not sure is a great idea in my embroidery studio, but I've got a little bit more space because today we're going to look at dyeing some fabrics and embroidery threads. So this is my solar dye pot, and this has been cooking, if you like, on the windowsill for quite a few months now, and I wanted to basically get this stuff out of here and see what colour it's got. And I thought, well, I may as well film it and show you guys as well. And then I thought I'll show you how to make one of these yourself from things that you've probably got lying around your kitchen, and then I'm going to show you what colours that things can come out and what you can do with it, and a little bit more about dyeing fabrics. Now, the first thing I want to say is I am not an expert on this. I've had a lot of a play around with it and a lot of fun with it, but it can get quite scientific, and I kind of switch off a little bit at that point, and it gets very chemically and very scientific. So I will show you a couple of books that you can refer to if you're interested in it and you want to go further with this. You find it fun and fun to have a go at. But I also just want to show you that it can be quite easy just to make your own colours for your own fabrics and have a little play for your embroidery projects and your textile projects. Are you coming up? Yeah. This is where it goes wrong, because loads of dye stuffs and water and cats don't really mix, do they, matey? Should we carry on for a bit, just until we get to the messy bit? Okay, where did I get to? So this is a Kilner jar, and it's basically got layers of dye stuff and fabrics and dye stuff and fabrics in it. So I've put the darkest dye at the bottom. I'll tell you what they are in a second. Put some fabrics in and a bit of water. Put another dye stuff on top of that, some more fabrics and threads and fibres and a bit of water, and gone all the way to the top. And the idea is with this one is that it's red at the bottom and a kind of orangey in the middle and a yellow at the top. And you when you take your fabrics out, they should be this nice range of colours. Now, it's quite hard to layer it, I will admit, so I don't know how this is going to come out. And I've left it on the shelf. I'm going to turn it around because it is very beautiful. And I don't know how it's going to come out yet because it did get a little bit mixed up. Yeah, it's not about you, buddy. Did get a little bit mixed up in the jar, so it's not going to be a beautiful rainbow of colours, and it's quite hard to get the fibres in as well, but it is going to be interesting to see what they are. I can definitely see it's darker here and lighter up here. The other thing you need to do is leave it on the shelf. It's quite heavy, I'm going to put it down. You need to leave it on the shelf for 3 months in the sunshine so the sunshine can get on the dyes. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to have the patience to leave it there for 3 months. And it's actually been 3 months now by the time I'm ready to get this out the jar. So it is worth a little bit of patience just to let it do its stuff, and hopefully we will reap the rewards of that. Okay, so just before we get it out of the jar, I'm going to tell you what's in there. So at the bottom, the deep red is a layer of cochineal. And I'm going to show you these dye stuffs in a minute. We'll have a look at some others as well, so I'll show you them all at the same time. So we've got cochineal in there. We have got rose madder in there, which is a pinky colour. We have got rhubarb root in there, so we're getting a little bit more orangey browny now. And then we've got some chamomile flowers in the top, which should give us a nice yellow. So 4 different colours there. Hopefully, we'll see. So I'm going to tip it all into my dye pot, because if this is a nice colour, when it's all mixed up, I might use it for something else. So I'm going to tip it in the pot and try and separate everything out, and then I'm going to lay it all out on the table, and we're going to see what we've got. I'm going to work around Ginger Cat, because if I take him off, he'll just jump back on again, and he's all right there for now. So what I'm going to do... Right, I've got special things just for dyeing. The things that I'm using are sort of household stuff really, but just keep your dye stuff separate from your kitchen stuff because it's not very nice to mix it. Just going to open it. Oh, it smells a bit vinegary, so it's definitely time to come out. Right, how are we going to do this, Ginger Cat? So let's just pour. So I think I've got all the liquid out. Actually, I might be pleasantly surprised with this, because you can see under this camera here that that is changing colour. So I'm going to get these out of here and we'll have a look at the stuff that went in. So here's some of those chamomile flowers. This looks like a beautiful orange colour. So I'm just going to put that down to one side and we'll have a little play with that later maybe. It's probably a good idea to wear some gloves, because there has been other things going in this pot which I'll talk about in a second. Now, it's got lots of bits in it, so it's going to take a bit of separating, but I did read in a book that it was best to get things out and let them dry first, rather than rinse them and then let them dry, because it keeps more of the colour. Now, this is interesting. The first bit I've grabbed is a little bit of calico, and I sort of concertinaed it up, so I tried to put the bottom as low as I could and the top as high as I could, so this may come out some different colours. There's stuff all over the place. I would normally do this in the kitchen, but this is actually working really well. Look at that. That's a genuine surprise that that's worked. We've got yellow at the top, which is the flowers. Red at the bottom is the cochineal. There it is. I'm going to stick that in the pot, actually. And that has come out everything in between. That's really beautiful piece of fabric. So I also put in, so that's just calico, so just unbleached cotton. I put some silk ribbon in. Never miss a chance to dye some silk ribbon. I love hand dyed silk ribbon. Can you see all the dye stuff? So we'll try and, there's probably a better way of doing this, but just excited to get it out. Oh, this is going to be beautiful, this ribbon. I can see this is different colours. There's a bit of red there. There's the chamomile flowers. It's a bit stinky, but Ginger Cat doesn't seem to mind that. Right, this is one a little bit near the bottom. This is silk ribbon. Big thick silk ribbon. Oh. So this has had the bottom bit in the cochineal. There's the red. And then it's orange, orange, orange. What I may have to do is rinse them anyway, because they've got so many bits in them. If I dry them, let them dry, they're going to go a little bit crusty. We don't want crusty ribbons. This is a mess in here. Right, I remember what I did now. Is I actually tied this in a little bit of a bunch, so I could sort of stand it upright and pull the stuff around it. So this is a bunch of thread, which explains why it wouldn't come out very easily. Let's just have a root and see what else is in there, and then I can get rid of that. So some more silk ribbon right at the bottom in this cochineal, and it's got all tangled up with the cochineal. This is definitely going to have to rinse this through. I'm never going to get that out of there otherwise. Just give it a little shake. Look at that beautiful colour. I can't find anything else in there, so we're good with the jar. So let's see if we can get these undone, see what we've got. So I've just put all sorts of different fibres in there. I like to do that when I'm dyeing something, because some things will come out much better than others. There's a big difference between animal fibres and plant fibres and how they dye. So plant fibres are cotton and linen, animal wool and silk, basically. So we've got some cotton there. This is a little bit of Ada, a little bit of cross-stitch fabric, which is usually cotton. Oh, look at that little bit at the end. It's just had a little bit of, I think, the cochineal on it, and it's just gone red there. So I tied these things with little bits of calico, but you can use these little things in slow stitching, so you can use literally everything that goes in the pot. And I've just got some calico here. Look at that one. That is really lovely. Amazed how well this has come out. There's a lot of dye stuff there. Look, stick that back in the pot. That's really nice orange and yellow at the top. These have come out much better than I thought they were going to come out. I should back myself a bit more. Put some big long pieces in as well, hoping that they would change colour as they went, and I can just... Yeah, beautiful yellows and oranges and reds in here. And some bigger pieces that hopefully I can do some stitching on. Oh, look at that, lovely. Beautiful, beautiful. And this was actually a present that Caroline bought me. Caroline's my sister. Those of you who've seen her doing the Tamba videos on my embroidery channel, and she bought me this one, and it is from Gorgeous Yarns. I will put a link in the description below the video to that, and they just sent the whole set of dies and instructions and gloves and everything, and this is actually called Sunrise Sunrise Solar Die Pot, and you can see why, because look at that beautiful, beautiful sunshine colours. So yellow at the top and red at the bottom. It's really worked. I'm super excited about that. And there's a little big long piece there as well. So that's everything out. So I think what I'm going to do is clear up the mess, get these out so we can have a proper look at them, and then I'm going to show you how you can easily make one of these for yourself. Okay, so I've cleaned up. It made more of a mess than I thought it was going to make that. So I have cleaned up, and I went in the house and I did wash them all through because there's no way I was going to get all that dye stuff out. Quite a lot of the colour did come out, but as you can see, they're still really amazing. So I'll just have a quick look through. The best one by far is the silk ribbon. It was near the bottom of the pot, admittedly, but it's taken the colour really well, and I love that colour. That's really beautiful. There's some more orange there, so it kind of goes red and orange. Did I do any more of that? I didn't, but I thought I put some in the top. Maybe that's hiding somewhere. This amazing piece of calico, just the length of it, is doing all sorts of things, so probably better at that camera there. So orange, yellow, bit of orange, yellow, so that was the bit near the top. So that was really beautiful colour, definitely sunrise colour. Some more of that thinner strip there, changing colour. We've got more of the orange, so in the middle and nearer to the bottom. Actually in the middle and nearer to the top. So there's the yellow from the top and the orange from the middle. And some more beautiful pieces of that. Really pleased with how this has come out. Look at that piece of Ada fabric. That's just a beautiful yellow colour. Really, really beautiful. Just those subtle changes in colour. Now to dry them, you can either just hang them up. Don't dry them out in the sun because that will have more of an effect. So I suggest you dry them somewhere out of the sun. You can either hang them up and let them dry naturally. If you saw my tea dyeing video on how to dye fabrics with tea bags, you will see in that I actually scrunched the fabric up and I let it dry all scrunched up, and different bits dried at different times, and that changed the way that it dried. So I think I might screw these up. Oh. A lot of water left in that. Might screw them up and just let them dry like that, and hopefully we'll get some more interesting things. So if you want a nice flat smooth colour, hang them out and let them dry naturally. If you want something a little bit more exciting, maybe unknown, screw them up and let them dry like that. The ribbons will need sorting out. So I think that was a success. I enjoyed getting all that and looking at that. It came up much better than I thought it would. And I thought I've just soaked these things, you know, I've not boiled them or anything. It's the heat from the sun that's had an effect on them. And there's quite a lot left in the bottom of the jar. So I think I'm going to put what's left in the jar back in the pot, give that a boil and put some more fabrics in, because I think there's more colour in there, definitely. So a little bit more to play with. Just before I show you how to make my own, I just want to show you that one. So it's a Sunrise Solar Die Pot by Caroline Brown from Gorgeous Yarns. That's a UK company, and the idea was that you put some wool in it and you dyed the wool and you knitted something out of the wool. They give you a little knitting pattern, but I'm not really a knitter, so I thought I'd put these other fabrics in instead. They've come out really well. But if you are interested in that, to have a look at that, I will put that link in the description below the video. So just want to mention a couple of books at this point. This can get very technical if you want it to. I like this sort of chuck it in, see what happens. I'm not too worried about what to doing in 100 years time, but you may be bothered about that and you may want some more permanent. And the more you look into this and you understand the chemistry behind it, the better the colours you can get. So there's a couple of books that I've got here. So this is Linda Rudkin, Natural Dyes it's called, and there's loads of information and really beautiful little swatch samples in this. Carrot tops, chamomile, blackberries, lots of things and little sample boards, and she tells you how to get the dye out of these products. So that one is a really good one. And this one I got recently. This is Natural Kitchen Dyes by Alicia Hall. This has come out this year, I think. This is this year. And what appealed to me about this one is it's everything in your kitchen. You haven't got to go out and source difficult to find dyes. This is stuff that's usually hanging around in your kitchen. It is literally usually hanging around. So it was really simplified down, and I like that for dyeing. I just want to see the end result and have some lovely colours to play with and to embroider on. So I like this one for that reason. And it just tells you what you can use. I'll talk about avocados in a minute. How to make the dye and how to get the best colour out of the dye. So that was a nice simple one to use there. So let's talk about what dyes you can put in your solar dye pot. So the ones that came in that Sunrise Solar kit, solar dye pot. So these are the chamomile flowers. Try not to get the shine on the camera there. So dried flowers make the beautiful yellow colour that was on the top. So you, unless you grow these yourself, you would need to source those. There is a couple of places in the UK that you can get these. I'll put links to those below. If you're in, you're outside the UK, you can just search dye lots, fabric dyeing, and I'm sure you'll find some suppliers of these things. We've got, now I just saved a little bit of samples of the things that went in because I thought quite hard to get. These are the cochineal. If you're vegetarian or vegan, you won't want to put these in your dye pot. This is actually beetles, very, very small, dried like so. And this is often what they would put in meals and stuff to get that, like curries and stuff, make that really orange colour, is this. So that makes a really beautiful red colour. That's this here, which is just stunning. So that's what they are. This one is the madder, so this is red. If you're a painter, you'll know about madder. There we go. These are all dried, by the way, so they can store these. And this is rhubarb root. So if you're a vegetable grower, this is something you could do. Pull out the roots, dry them out. You can use those. So that brings the middle sort of range. That was the yellowy orange colours. But some other things that you can use that you might find in your kitchen. This one might be a bit surprising. Tea bags. Whole video on tea dyeing. Do check that out. That was a lot of fun, the tea dyeing. These ones are red bush tea. These come out really well. For some reason, I don't know what's in them that makes them come out really well. But these ones are really, really great. So we're going to stick some of those in the pot as well. Get these ones out of the bag. So this is avocado, and the number of avocado skins and stones I've thrown away and without realising that you could use them. So these are the skins. You just let them dry out, just scrape all the flesh out of the inside, let them dry out. You can put them in the freezer as well, apparently, and they turn this sort of black colour, and then I'll show you what you can do with that in a second, but you can dye separately. So the skins make one colour and the pips dye another. Now I've had to go with the skins, and I'll pull some of that out now. The pips, the seeds, are currently in the dye pot in the kitchen. Those are going at the minute, and they're supposed to be a different colour, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to get those out later, and I'll put a picture up of what colour they come out, because they should be a different colour to the skins. So you can use avocados, all of the avocado, and these are probably ones that everybody has. These are onion skins, so we've got white onion skins here, And we've got red onion skins here. Those ones are really great. I'm going to stick those ones in the jar as well. So if you're peeling your onion, just save some of the skins and makes a really, really great dye. Now, some of these have what's called tannins in them, and that makes the dye really colour fast. So they're really great to use. So onions is one of those, the avocados is another one, and the tea bags as well. So those are 3 really, really great ones to use if you want pretty instant results with your dyeing. So some other things that you can use, red cabbage will dye quite nicely. I've got some dyed in that and I'll show you that. Things from the garden, dandelions will dye. Just experiment, just pull some things up, stick them in a pot. You can put them in a jar and swish them around a little bit and leave them and put them in the sun and see what dye comes out with them. Some of them are not colour fast, so you do need to just check on that. You can experiment and find out. All these books will tell you which ones are and which ones aren't. The berries usually aren't, and if you've ever cut up a beetroot, you know how much it stains your hands and you can't get the colour out your hands. Well, you think, oh, that'll make a great dye, and you try and dye with that and it doesn't hold the beetroot at all. So much better colouring your hands. My hands have got quite spectacular orange colour rinsing those out. So just have a little experiment and a little play and see what you can find that will draw out some beautiful colours. So let's just show you some of the things that I've dyed with these. Let's start with these ones. So these are the white onion skins. Pretty well come out as you would expect them to. Dye really, really well. The onion skins, that's probably the first one I tried. That's a piece of calico there. It's another piece there. That's a piece of linen. There, that one's come out really beautifully as well because it's got those tannins in them. They dye really, really nicely. So white onion skins is a super one. I've not tried the red ones yet, but I will do that soon. These beautiful things here, these are all silks. And these are red cabbage dye. And look how beautiful these are. Now, they're all slightly different colour. They're all from the same dye pot because you can put in your dye pot what are called modifiers. So that will change the colour of something. So it depends on the acidity of your dye. So the material you're actually dyeing with and the water that you're using to do that as well. And you can change that acidity or the alkalinity. And I'll talk about that in a second. And that's what I've done with this one. So I've started off, I think, I don't even know which one's the original now. I think that's the original colour that comes from the red cabbage. This one I've changed the alkalinity and it's changed to a blue. There's another blue one there, and there's a really light pink one. So this is more acidic, this is more alkaline in it, and just one dye pot you can get all of these amazing different colours. So that was red cabbage and silk. I also did some ribbons with those as well. This is my selection of ribbons. I told you I don't need an excuse to dye a load of ribbons. So here are those ones there. You can see these colours coming through. Again, there's the white onion there. Now the green is interesting. Not many things make green. Apparently carrot tops are good. I haven't tried that yet, but I would like to try carrot tops definitely. If you've got comfrey plant, that makes green, and that's what these ones came from. It's quite a sort of a subtle green, but it's definitely green, so it is quite hard to make green. There's a bit of darker one, so that's had a modifier added to it as well. So I'll tell you what that one is in a second. The very pale ones are dandelions. Now you think they'd come out beautiful yellow, don't they? And they are quite pale actually, but they are beautiful. They come out a sort of nice, really pale yellow colour. So really lovely, those ones. Got some more of those here. Now this green one here is just had a modifier on it. So this green and this green here have had copper added to it. I've got some copper up here. I will show you that in a second, but that's not been in a dye pot. That's just had a modifier. So just something that changes the colour. But I thought I'll just try it on its own and see what happens. And it comes out this amazing colour. Really, really beautiful, that one. I've done some threads as well in it. There's the onion one. And this one I just dipped in the pot that way, so that end was in the pot, that was out, and it's sort of soaked up, so it's a little bit paler at the top and a little bit yellower at the bottom. It's come out really nicely. That's my dandelion one. These ones are my red cabbage ones with the modifiers in, and I've noted what they are on all of them. I've made a little card for them. Red cabbage and copper modifier, that one. So that started off as this colour here, and put the copper in it and it's turned it more blue. It's made it more alkaline. And I just little note when I made it as well. Red cabbage dye only. All right, so that's the original colour for this thread, and that's what it's changed to. So it changes a lot depending on what you stick in it. This one is beautiful. Look how that one's come out. red cabbage and lemon juice. So I just paste that in a little dish, drop some lemon juice on it. Lemon juice changes it instantly. It's very acidic, and that will just sort of take the colour out of it. So I've just dropped it every now and again on it, and you can just see how beautiful that one is. Really, really lovely. So you can have a lot of fun playing with this. And then I just want to show you this one, because this is a recent play. So these are my avocado skins. This is what colour they come out. Now some people go, oh, they go pink, and they go lovely pink, and these have not really gone pink despite my best efforts. So it is a little bit more involved than I'm making it sound if you want a specific colour, but I just quite like the fun of going with it and sticking it in a pot and seeing what comes out. It's gone a kind of a browny colour really, and again just tried loads of different materials. I put everything I could think of in this one. So I put some wool in there. That's some crewel wool. This is some cotton embroider. I love stitching with cotton embroider. That came out nicely. This is some little pieces of calico that I tied things up with. I put some felt in there. That's come out quite brown. The felt, the ribbons are beautiful, but quite pale, these ribbons. And I did put some modifiers in those as well. Put a bit of iron in that and a little bit of copper, but they are very, very beautiful. This came out the best. This was really surprising because I think this is all synthetic. I thought this isn't going to take the dye. Natural fabrics are much better, and look at the colours that this one has come out. Really amazing colours, really beautiful. And I put some laces in there, a bit more felt, a bit more Ada fabric, some more embroidered fabric. There's a bit of silk that's come out quite different to it, so sometimes the silk takes well, sometimes it doesn't. Now this is getting a little bit more pink here, so I added a modifier in it. It was too sort of orangey brown, and I put some bicarbonate of soda in it, and then I put a little bit of the copper modifier in it, and it's made it a little bit more blue, so it's going towards pink. So I think a little bit of experimentation with that one, and I will probably get the colour that I want out of it. But I thought they were really great. The colours are really strong, and I am looking forward to playing with those ones quite a lot. So before we look at the modifiers, just want to show you this one last thing. So here's a set of Appleton's wool that I dyed with the red cabbage, and I've got them labelled as to what they're in the colour order. So look how many beautiful colours you can get out of one dye pot. So red cabbage dye, no mordant in it. We'll talk about mordants in a second. Red cabbage dye with lemon juice in it. The red cabbage dye only, so it starts that colour, and you can take it that one, you can take it that way. This one I've added iron in it. And that one has got a bit of iron and some copper in it as well. And I just made a whole set of colours, a really, really beautiful set just from one dye pot. So let's just talk about those modifiers. So you're putting something in that will change the colour. So you can test the acidity of your dye pot. You can get some of these little pH test papers. You can get these off in the internet, they're dead cheap, or a chemist. And you can just dip it in your dye pot and it will tell you how acidic it is. So let me just pull one of those off, and I'm going to dip it in my Sunrise solar pot down here. And then what you can do is you can match it to this little chart here, and you can see how acidic it is. So that's coming out bang on number 5. So it's quite acidic, that one. So if I wanted to make it more alkaline and wanted one of these colours, I would need to put the appropriate modifier in to make it darker. If I wanted to go this way, I can put something acidic in, make it more acidic, and it should warm it up and get this different colour. So that one's going to give me quite a sort of fairly acidic one, but I could make it change quite a bit if I wanted to. So those are quite handy if you just want to know where you're at, depending where you are in the world, and even where you are in your country, the water will change quite a lot and the acidity can change. So that little kit is probably worth it just to see where you're sitting on the scale and what you need to do with it, and you can add things to change it. So the easiest ones are these ones. So these have been sitting in the jar on my shelf. So this one is an iron modifier. It's literally some rusty nails in some water in a pot. That's literally what's in there, and you just leave it to rust basically, and the bottom bit is super dark. You don't need much of this. This is really strong, and this does what they call sadden the colour, and it's a good description actually, because it sort of doesn't, it dulls it I suppose, but it just makes it this little bit darker colour, and that's to make it more alkaline, so that will send it to that darker scale. So that one can be a good one. And again, really, really easy to make at home. You don't need to go and buy some fancy stuff. This one is beautiful. How beautiful is that? It's just gorgeous. It's a bit of copper pipe in some water. Now I have done it in deionized water that you put in your iron. Let's pull the pipe out. Just a little bit of copper pipe that I made something in the garden with and had a little offcut, and that colour of it was absolutely stunning colour. Really, really beautiful, and it just turns the water that amazing blue. And you can put that in and that will make things a little bit more green if you want to. So that is a beautiful one, and that is that there. That's just dipped in that copper modifier, nothing else done to it. And there's a little bit of ribbon I did as well, wasn't there? There's a little bit of ribbon. So that's just dipped in that, and when you put that with other colours it will change. So you can have a lot of fun experimenting. Just put a tiny little bit in at a time, see how it changes the colour. I've got an old white ice cube tray and I just try a little bit in each and put a bit of this, see what it does. Think, well, that's nice. And you can stick some in the dye pot and you can change the dye pot. So those two are really easy ones to do. You can also add in lemon juice, another super easy one. That turns beautiful purples into pinks. So that's lemon juice added to it there. And you can use chalk as well. Chalk will make it alkaline, so that will go the other way on your little test paper scale. So you have a little bit of control which way you go, but have a lot of fun experimenting and trying those out and seeing what you can come up with. So just before I show you how to make your own dye pot, solar dye pot, I just want to talk a little bit about mordants. Now this is where it gets really scientific and I don't really follow it, but I've got two here, and sort of a general rule really is alum. So this is alum sulfate, in potassium alum sulfate, alum in inverted commas, had to buy this off the internet. That one is generally good to put in with animal products, so in with wool and in with silk. And what that does is it helps the dye to adhere to the fibres of the fabric that you're using. So you can put it in the dye pot, pull it out and all the colour comes out of it. This will help those colours to stick to the fibre, so you'll get a much stronger colour. And the other one is bicarbonate of soda, so this is quite good for the plant fibres, for your cotton and your linens as well, to help them stick to that as well. And if you want to use a natural one, she explains in that book that I showed you, the natural kitchen dyes one, she shows you how to use soya beans and natural soya beans in there, soya milk. You make soya milk out of the soya beans, so you get your soya beans and she gives you a little recipe on how to make it into milk, which is dead easy. And she uses that for all types of materials. I've not tried that yet, struggling to find soya beans at the moment. I've obviously got to go somewhere different for those. And she uses that and does all her fabric in that first. So you make your soya milk and you just put your fabric in there, you let that soak for a couple of days, and that will help the dye to stick to the fabric. So it is worth doing that extra step, just so you know you're going to get really vibrant colours. Okay, so I'm drowning now in dyes, stuffs and fabrics and lots of beautiful things. I'm going to clear away a little bit and we're going to make our own solar dye pot. Okay, so dead easy to have a go at making your own. You need a great big jar. So if you've got a kiln or jar, those are really great. Mine needs cleaning out and washing out. So I've got this. This had hot dogs in it. Massive hot dogs in it. So really great jar for that. So I've got my jar. You need some dye stuffs. So what I'm going to use is the Red Bush tea bags. I'm going to put those on the bottom. They come out a really beautiful dark sort of reddy brown colour. I'm going to put some of my avocado skins in, so hopefully you might get a bit of purpley browny peachy colour in there. I'm going to put some of my onion skins in. I think I'll put the red ones in first, then I'll put some yellow ones in, then I might top it with some of the chamomile flowers, if I can get all of that in my jar. So the bigger the jar the better. I'm going to put lots of different things in as usual. So I've got that ribbon that came out really well with the avocado skins. I've got some silk, I've got some cotton, I've got some bits of lace, got some ribbon in there, and I've got some wool as well. Always worth putting wool in because wool does different things. And I didn't put any in the solar dye pot that I'd just taken out, which is a bit disappointing, but never mind. So I put some wool in. Now if you want to put them in and they don't want to get all knotted, you can see I've just tied the edges there. So I put a little bit of silk ribbon because we can use those bits as well later, just to keep them separate so it doesn't get all in a big tangle. And I've just soaked it in water. It's been soaking for quite a while. Just helps the dye to soak into the fibres. If you can wash them beforehand, that does help as well. It gets all of the dressing out, if there's any dressing in the fabric, and just makes it much easier to take up the dye later. I'm just going to squeeze all the water out of those. I'm going to put more water back in, so it probably doesn't matter how much I squeeze out. Like so. Put that down there. Right, the other thing I've done is I've just boiled myself a kettle. I did this a while ago now. I'm just letting that cool off a little bit. So I've got warm water. Really, you can get it out of the tap. So I'm going to put my tea bags in first. And a little bit of water on the top. Let's make some tea, like so. Then I'm going to put some of my fibres in. So what shall I put in? Probably should have organised this a bit better first because it's all in a big knot. So I'm going to put some silk ribbon in. Can go right on the top there. A little bit of lace and a little bit of cotton, I think. Didn't bring my wooden spoon in, so I'm going to use the end of that. Just kind of don't want the air to be trapped really, because you want the dye to go. So then I'm going to put in, what did I say next? Some avocado skin. So I'm just going to break that up. Like so. A little bit more hot water. Now, what you don't want to do is swill it around and mix it all up. You really want those colours to separate out. So once you've got them in, let's save a bit of silk. Let's put quite a big piece of linen here. Let's stick the linen in. Get yourself a wooden spoon to do it. And I might put one on top of that as well. So we've got the avocado above and below that. Oops, see what goes in. A bit more water. Nice stuff. Let's stick some silk ribbon in. Put some of that in, but I'm going to leave it hanging out. More water. Let's stick some red onion skins in. I'll probably put quite a few of these in, it'll squash down. More of the ribbon. Should we put in now a bit more of something else? Let's put another little bit of lace in. I thought this wasn't all going to go in the pot, but I think it actually it's going to be about right. White ones. It's just a thing of beauty, thing of beauty by itself, whether it works or not. It's lovely. Right, let's stick some ribbon in. A few chamomile flowers, I think. I don't want to squash it down really in packed. I want the dye to be able to go around the material, so I don't want it to just squash it down loads and loads. So let's just put the rest of the stuff in now. So we've got some more lace, got a little bit of that cotton embroidery. I'm just going to twist that up, fold it in half so it doesn't. A little bit of that. We'll put these on the top, I think. All chamomile flowers, look pretty on the top. Silk and wool. And those chamomile flowers are amazing. They're already, you can see it's yellow. Really, really lovely. So there's going to sprinkle some on the top and I'm going to shut the jar. Right, fill it up with water before you put the lid on. Now what you should do is, that's quite warm water, so I'm just going to let it cool down a little bit, then I'm going to put the lid on, and just occasionally come back and loosen the lid off. Let's see over that. Loosen the lid off and just let the air escape if you like, and you can top it up if it dries out a little bit. So how beautiful does that look? It's a thing of beauty. So then comes the patience bit. So you need to put it on the windowsill in some sunshine, and you just need to wait. And it is worth the wait. I promise it is worth the wait. So that is my solar jar. So you can find some stuff, have a go at making your own, see what colours you can come out with. Think about how you want to layer the colours. I've got the darkest to the lightest going up the jar, so hopefully that worked for this one. Hopefully it will work with this one as well, and I will report back and tell you what it turns out like. So I hope you found that interesting. I am far from an expert on this. I want to say that now before someone jumps and says, oh, you need to do this instead. So if you've got some knowledge of this and you know something I don't, then do let me know. That would be really great. And I hope you're inspired to have a go at your own. It's really fun to do, really easy to do, and you can just leave it and let it do its own thing for 3 months. So I hope you enjoyed that and you're inspired to have a go at dyeing some of your own fabrics and threads. I will put some pictures of all of this stuff up on my community page, so do check that out there to see what that's like. I'll put pictures of these when these are dry, these beautiful pieces here. I will put a picture of this up as well so you can see that, and as it changes colour I'll do that also, so do keep an eye out on that and have a chat to me there. It is lovely to talk to you there. Okay folks, I'm off to clear up because I've made a massive mess. Thank you so much for watching. Do give this a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and do check out on the community page and keep up to date with how all this is coming out, and I will see you next time.